Yeah. The Big Young Podcast. Let's go. Real stories, real people, that's the way. From bottom to the top, watch us elevate. Heavy struggle made us stronger, now we celebrate. Diamonds fall from pressure, man, we never break. Open mind, open ears, that's the recipe. Different paths, same hustle, that's the legacy. Stack wisdom like I'm stacking all these Benjamins. Every setback just to set up for the win. Let's go. The Big Young Podcast.
All right. That's enough of that. Shout out AI for that epic intro song. Man, it's amazing what you can do with AI these days. All right, here we are. We're back. Little solo cast. I've only got about 20 minutes, so just going to bang one out real quick. And 2025. Here we are. Here we're at the end already. This episode's again brought to you by Epic Coffee because that's what I'm sipping on, and it is wonderful. 2025. What a year. I don't really have topics for this episode today of this, whatever I used to call it. Solo cast, I'll call it now. I don't know. Brain fart, just release. So 2025, a lot of people that I've talked to have had a pretty rough year, especially here in New Zealand. It's just been, the economy's been real average, and I think it really plays a big role in affecting people's lives when the economy's not doing good because, financial stuff is such a big part of our life. So a lot of people I've talked to have just been doing it tough, like whether it's financially or just stress and life and just, things going wrong. And, the one thing I always remind them is like, well, did you wake up for every day of 2025? If the answer is yes, which obviously you did because I'm talking to you, then you're doing pretty bloody good, like we all have bad years and we all have good years, and there just seems to be this trend, especially here in NZ, where people have just had a rough go at it this year. But like I said, a lot of that comes from the economy and everything surrounding that, which affects their life and their happiness and their well-being. So yeah, it's the year's gone by really quick. And I mean, for me, it's been a pretty good year. Like, there's definitely been parts of it that have been up and down, but they go by so fast at this point that it's like you just get used to that. And I'm not really a New Year's resolution person, but you kind of just go, oh, okay, well, sweet. Next year starts soon and we'll jump back in. I think I do get I get like New Year motivation. Like, remember, like time is a human construct. It's something that we invented. The universe and the planet doesn't care about your New Year's resolutions. That's why I don't do it. I just do stuff and make it happen there and then. There's no point waiting for the next year. But I think when it comes to like New Year's resolutions, I think it's like, it does give you some sort of motivation for me, because it's like, especially if you have kids, because you have the school holidays and then you're like, sweet, back into it. And it's like, it's time for a new sort of beginning, a new start, especially when the economy's been crap. And it does feel like it's turning. So I think next year is potentially going to be a good one for a lot of people. But we'll see what happens. We'll see, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Anyway, don't really have topics for today's one. I'm just going to sort of chat about anything I can think of. The first one I wanted to speak about, and it was because it came up in conversation yesterday with my 8-year-old, going into 2026, and that is dreams. Not like dreams when you're asleep, but dreams for like achieving things like your goals. And she said to me, we were driving, and she said something about, that'd be one of her dreams. And she goes, oh, but it'll never happen. She gets a bit doom and gloomy. And I said, well, what do you mean it will never happen? Oh, well, it was some far-fetched thing. And I said, well, yeah, here I am with an 8-year-old explaining this stuff. But, I mean, some adults need this explained to them simply too. And I said, look, the only thing between you and your dreams is how much work and how much effort and dedication you're willing to put in to achieve that dream or to make it a reality. And you can just see her little brain going, oh, okay, well, it's a simple concept, obviously. It's a very simple concept, but the thing about having a dream or a goal or ambition is it's all good to have it, but if you're not willing to put in the work to achieve it, then it's pointless. Like, there's no magic. There's no like magic thing where you just go, well, that'd be my dream, and then you just kick back and one day it all just appears and happens. That's not how life as a human works. If you have a dream and a goal, you have to put in the work and be dedicated and be willing to grind for it for potentially a long period of time for that dream to become reality. And obviously, at 8, she kind of gets the concept. Oh, okay, but I think that's the difference is when you're a grown up, you do realize that and like, okay, I can make my dreams reality, but I have to be willing to put in the work, the dedication and the effort to achieve that dream. Whereas as an 8-year-old, I suppose you're just going, that'd be my dream. And you don't really see the practical steps to get there. It's sort of just like a thought or like a projection of your mind. When the reality is you can achieve anything you want to. You can achieve any dream you want to. It's just the work and the hard work and the dedication that comes between what you did, between you and that dream. You have to be willing to grind for it to make it reality. And it was just an interesting observation of how the mind of a kid works, and sometimes breaking things down for them just in those simple practical steps makes them go, oh yeah, like, and it gives them the confidence like, oh yeah, maybe I could achieve it one day. It could be reality, because Dad's just given me this sort of pathway that I've got to follow if I want to get there, because that's it. That's the reality of having a dream or ambition or a goal, is the work. That's what it comes down to. And if you do that work and you grind for it, one day you do go, oh, this dream is my reality now. It's come true. Perfect example is me, like with the photography stuff. And now where I'm showing other people that, and I'm like, more than 10 years ago, my dream was to be a professional photographer. At that time, it was just a projection. It was just a vision. It was just a thought. And, at the time, there was things in me that were like, you could never do that. Like, what are you doing? Just like the 8-year-old did, that doubt. But over the years, having broken it down into those practical steps and chipping away at it bit by bit and staying dedicated to that dream and that goal, and it's become reality. The main thing with having a dream or a goal is realizing that it is just action that makes it happen. It's action that creates that dream and brings it to fruition and to life. For you to then sit back one day and go, wow, look, I actually did that. It's that action that you have to take action. So if you do have a dream and you want to achieve it in your lifetime, don't put it off till next year. Don't go, 2026, I'll finally kick off on that dream that I've got, I'll start. It's like, no, just start now. Like, just make the decision and take the action. Find the time, find the resources, do whatever you have to do to get the ball rolling, because the sooner that you start, the sooner you achieve it. Again, it could take many, many years, but ask anybody who's achieved a dream of theirs or a goal or an achievement, and they'll tell you the exact same thing. It all just comes down to what you're willing to put in. And I was willing to put in everything to achieve my dream and my goal, and I did it. So, yeah, that's just a random blurb about dreams, just because I have the most interesting conversations with the kids, because they ask questions, and I feel like sometimes I give them these like real deep answers, and you can just see their little brain ticking over, and just sort of like, you can just see the cogs turning and the wheels turning, like, because I try and sort of give them real practical advice, not like whimsical stuff. So yeah, it's you've just got to take action at the end of the day. Take action and achieve your goals. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about today was the thing that often comes from dreams being achieved or goals or changes in your life, and that is money. It's a tool, I see it as a tool. And that's another thing where I've found a lot of people have struggled this year. like I saw a stat yesterday and it said 16,000 people, I think, in New Zealand have been made redundant this year, or something like that, made redundant or fired or, whatever. Basically, the businesses just didn't have enough capital to keep them on. And something I think about a bit, because there is sort of like this closed mindset around money in New Zealand. And I think it's because so many people have been raised in the system of a job, and they put quite a low value on themselves monetarily. In other words, they've always had a job where they've worked for an hourly rate. So everything in their life is broken down into like what they're worth per hour. And I've seen a lot of people like basing their whole like financial life off that. And it's such a limiting belief. And there's so much money out there in the world. And it's actually not that hard to get hold of if you know your value and know your worth. Like, this is if you're like, I guess, an employee, or you have your own business, or you have, something that exchanges value for money. And that's one thing you learn about being like an entrepreneur, I guess, or like a small business owner or whatever. It gets you out of that hourly rate job thing. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having a job. It's perfectly, most people do. It's perfectly normal. But it's the mindset around it that you need to change if you want to, I guess, up your value, like how much you value your skills or your knowledge at monetarily, because it's kind of hard to explain. But I guess because we are raised in the system, like I left school at 15. I got a job. I got paid like $7 an hour or something back then, back in whenever that was, early 2000s. And that was was my first job. So I like, okay, this is what I'm worth per hour to them. I've got to do this many hours to earn this much money. Like it's a very capped thing. Like, yes, you can work your way up. You can work your way up the ladder, I guess, in a company, and you do get paid more. And obviously you can go to salary where you get paid like a fixed rate, but it's still very capped. It's not open-ended. Like, the only way to really look at money in an open-ended manner is to have a business or something which isn't, I guess, capped on the top end. It's just one thing I see where people, like this year, a lot of people obviously have been struggling with money, and there's solutions there for them. But I think the biggest thing that you have to change initially is your mindset and the way that you see money and how it comes and goes. I think if you can change that, you can change like how much you can earn and sort of how you handle your money as well, because that plays a big role. Like, when I see people saying they're doing it tough and they're this and they're that, and they do just have like a job, but they also drive a brand new car and they have a huge mortgage and they have like really high lifestyle costs, it kind of hurts my brain, because I'm like, well, you're living like someone who earns 3 times what you're earning, and all your money is just getting, just paid to debt dealers. Like, lowering your lifestyle costs means, A, you don't have to earn as much, and when you do earn more, you can actually have it and put it away and invest it and grow it, instead of, I don't know, it's just, the whole system is bizarre to me, like, get a job and, you've got to drive this new car that you've ticked up to the eyeballs, and you keep upgrading your house so your mortgage keeps getting whatever, it's just like, don't complain about money if you're not willing to live like how much you actually earn. I guess is the main thing. I see people in there, I'm like, you don't need all that stuff. Like, you shouldn't have that. Your whole life is dedicated to working to become what I call, and I've talked about it before, like a modern day slave. All you do is work to pay for all your debt and all this material crap that you have. Like, if people strip back their lifestyle, like, yes, I know living costs are high in New Zealand, that plays a big role, but there is ways to like mitigate it. And I get that if people have stripped down their living costs to the bare minimum and they're still struggling, then that's, fair enough. That's when you need to earn more. But the ones who are living like kings with all the material possessions and stuff, and they're whinging about how hard it is and stuff. I'm like, there's so many options there for you to change that. You just have to be willing to not live that lifestyle. That's how lucky we are in New Zealand. Like we have a system where literally if you don't work, the government's just like, here's money every week or whatever. Here's a bunch of money to survive on and potentially thrive on. I've heard some of the sums that people get like on the dole and stuff, and I'm like, what? Like, this is insane. Like, this is where all our tax money's going, because some of it's quite a lot, and that's coming from someone who's never been on the dole once in my life. It's just not. There's anything wrong with if I have. Don't get offended. I've got to like say everything like this so people don't go. Oh, blah, 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 blah. It's just my thoughts. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, I get it. Like the economy's down, times are tough, but there's ways to change it. Earn more, lower your living costs, stop being a debt slave. All those things, and you'll find it'll probably make a difference. I don't know. I think I just have a different mindset to a lot of people around money, or not. I don't know, but I just see it, and it's hard because I feel for them. Like I don't want anybody to struggle. I want everybody to live their best life at the end of the day. But it's the ones that are so like naive that they don't realize like, hey, you're living like well above your means. Like that's why you're going backwards, or that's why you're struggling. Yeah, I don't know. No offense if that's you, like I've said. It's just my internal thoughts. So 2026, if you haven't already, like if you do want to do the New Year's resolution thing, get those goals written down. Like always, I've got lofty sort of goals and things to strive towards. Always building, always doing stuff, always starting something new, doing something. So it's it's just going to continue into 2026. The big step for me next year is that my second kid's starting school. So I'll have 2 kids in school, which is going to allow a lot more time for me, because I have been the main parent for the last 3 years, which has been amazing. I would never look back on these last 3 years and regret it. I've got to spend 3 years being the full-time parent at home after the wife did it for 5 years, spending every day with my boy. I don't think I'm ever going to regret that. I'll never look back in like 10 years' time and be like, oh, what a waste of time that was. Yes, I sacrificed a lot, especially like work and money-wise, but we got through it. And February next year, he starts school and it's sort of on to the next chapter in life. And actually, that's another thing I wanted to talk about, was like being a dad, because I know a bunch of people that have become dads recently, and it's such a trip, like the different stages that you go through. The other day, sorry, my throat just won't stop. I'll just have a drink of coffee. There's a problem. I like drinking coffee before doing these. It sort of peps you up a bit, but for some reason it messes with your throat as well. I just want to do a quick bit on being a dad. So the other day, Forrest said to me, we were talking about something, and I said, oh yeah, maybe if I could do it or something. And he goes, you're my dad. You can do anything. And I literally was like, like I could feel the emotion coming over me. And I was like, dude, like how trippy is this shit? Like how trippy is it being just this crazy, whatever, teenager or 20-year-old just living crazy life, to then I'm now standing here with this little boy who's almost 5 telling me, like propping me up as his dad, like, you're my dad, you can do anything. Like I'm like the superhero dad. I'm like, this is such a trip. And it was such a crazy feeling because he's never said that to me before. And when he said it, I was like, this shit is so special, man. Like being a parent, it kind of makes me emotional just talking about it. Like I have, well, not just me, but the wife as well. Like we are dedicated parents, I suppose. And the further down the track you get, from like the baby stage into like now having an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, it's stressful. They fight. There's a lot of chaos and life is busy, and that's why I haven't been doing podcasts lately, but just because life has been busy between family stuff, work stuff, I just haven't had the creative energy or the time to really sit down and do these. But the one thing that never changes is like that connection you have with your kid who's like this mini me of you. It's just such a, I might overthink about it too much, but watching a human that you created with your partner, with your wife, obviously they didn't just come out of thin air, did they? Go from this little tiny, both our babies were preemie, so they were tiny, to these little things, to then having these like intellectual conversations with your 8-year-old about, the meaning of life and all this different stuff, and having your 5-year-old boy saying, like, you're my dad, you can do anything, and like just like, dude, like if that's not motivation enough to be like the best parent you can, or to sort of strive for bigger things in life and have goals and like try and achieve shit, I don't know what is, because everything in my life revolves around those kids. Everything you do, everything you think about is them and the wife. Like, it's just such a trip. Like, parenting is just such a trip. And again, like anyone listening who's got young babies or just had their first kid, like, you will experience all this stuff. But I think, I don't know, maybe I just think about it a lot more than most, or I don't know, but it definitely trips me out as time goes on and they get bigger. And like I said, you see them transform into these little people, and then you analyze yourself, because you're like, hang on, I'm just like a kid, aren't I? Like, aren't I just like you? Because that's what it feels like. I was just you not long ago, or I was a teenager not long ago, and now you're like teaching this other little human how to navigate life. It's just, I don't know. I probably overthink it, but it just trips me out. It trips me out to deal with it, and for them to say stuff like that, and and they say, you're the best dad ever and all this stuff. I mean, mine say it to me, not bragging or anything, but they say it to me all the time, and it's sort of, the novelty's worn off. But it's almost like what's the word? Like it confirms that you're doing it right, or at least you're doing it to your best of your ability, because they say that to you. So you're like, man, definitely doing something right, trying to give these kids the life that the childhood, that not that I didn't have. I had a, all right childhood, but I guess trying to give them a childhood that is devoid of the stuff that I dealt with, like a lot of the like poverty and shit, like all that stuff, like it's not like we spoil them and give them everything they need, but they never want for anything, and they're growing up in a very stable household and stuff. And understand not every kid's dealing with that these days, but yeah, being a parent, man, it's a big job, but it's a bloody rewarding one at the end of the day, when they say stuff like, you're my dad, you can do anything. It's just like, dude, where did you come from? And why do you believe me so much? Kids. Yeah, they trip me out. All right, we're coming up on 25 minutes. So that's a bit of a solo rant for the end of 2025. Hopefully 2026 for everybody is an amazing year. If you're in New Zealand, like, I can feel things turning. I think it's going to be better. So if times have been tough, remember they don't last. Time heals all wounds, even if they are financial wounds or wounds up here. And on the financial stuff, if you haven't looked up Keep the Change, Luke from Keep the Change, his stuff's amazing, and he teaches a lot of this stuff about sort of the mindset around money and how to navigate it, and sort of how to go about, again, managing finances, finding opportunities, building your life, I guess, around that stuff. Go check him out, Keep the Change. He's really good. He's an accountant, and I really rate his stuff. I didn't think much of it when I first heard it, because I would sort of, I didn't really need the financial help stuff at the time when I found it, but he's definitely motivated me with like the content side of things and sort of creating opportunities, which I'm always doing, creating opportunities for myself and other people. So check him out if you need any sort of financial guidance, I suppose. He palms out the content like it's actually insane. That I'm like, how do you actually have like a job as well? Yeah, it's pretty inspiring stuff. So check him out if you need anything financial. Maybe binge it over the holidays and get your stuff sorted for 2026. But Yeah, I think I'm going to do another more pods before the end of the year, but this is just a bit of a solo sort of rant. I've been real busy, like work-wise, shooting all sorts of stuff, so I've just sort of been getting through that spring rush at the end of the winter, and on to school holidays and cruising and hopefully some summer weather and fishing and hunting and all the usual stuff. But I just wanted to say, if 2025 has been a bit rough, as much as I'm not a New Year's resolution type, get your goals written out, get your I can't stop burping. Get your ambitions in line for next year and just smash it. Get out there and just smash it. Whatever you've got to do, make it happen. Again, I'm not trying to be like a motivational dude, but I'm a realist and I know what it takes to actually achieve things. So if you can, reach out to me if you want to, and I can help as much as I can with anything, but you've just got to get going. Get going. Take action. Don't sit back and let it just be a dream like the 8-year-old. It's the action and the work and the dedication that achieves the goal, no matter what it is. So take action, get it done. I'm going to play this mean-ass AI song outro thing again. Amazing technology. It baffles me how good AI and technology is. Made this in like 2 seconds. So yeah, if I don't talk to you again, which I'm sure I will because I've got some other pods lined up, hopefully I can bang out soon. If not, we'll roll into 2026 and we'll be banging out a few more with some more legends and inspirational people and good yarns and all that stuff. Just got to, get back on the wagon and keep banging these up. Appreciate you. I'll see you in the next one. Sure.
Big Young Podcast. Let's go. Real stories, real people, that's the way. From bottom to the top, watch us elevate. Every struggle made us stronger, now we celebrate. Diamonds forth from pressure, man, we never break. Open mind, open ears, that's the recipe. Different paths, same hustle, that's the legacy. Stack wisdom like I'm stacking all these Benjamins. Every setback just to set up for the win. Let's go. The Big Young Podcast.